Hi, today we're going to start to sketch out a melting snowman. If you're like us in Pennsylvania, you're tired of all the snow this February, so we're just going to melt it. For this project, I am using watercolor pencils. Now you can use just regular colored pencils for this. Whatever you choose is fine. I really do like the effect of a watercolor pencil though, because you have the detail of the pencil, and then when you add the water, it just has that really cool effect. So we'll start with the rays of the sun here, go all the way out. And I'm taking it really close up against the side of my snowman. So we know that mountains in the distance would have snow on them and they would be white on the top, but we're not doing that. This is just a distant hill, just a gentle sloping hill. So I'm just using a light green here, and at the very bottom we're going to use a brown. Here we go with some water on a medium-sized brush, hitting that center first, and then just keeping it going around the sun, and then shoot out the sides, follow the rays. But we want to fill a lot of this sky with this color. While that area is drying, we're going to do this bottom part. So I have almost a periwinkle kind of blue here, and I'm starting to concentrate the color around the edges first. We want to keep most of the color around the edges and in between the balls, the snowballs there, because that will keep it looking like it has more shape. It'll be rounder. So just continue with that and then add some more blues. I'm just using a regular pencil to start this shadow, and I'm following the rays. So here I have a diagonal, and then I know exactly where to put my shadow. Now remember, when you're doing shadows, you follow your object. So if your object is round, your shadow is round. Now this is more of a slanted kind of triangle. You can still tell that it has the shape of the snowman. Now I'm adding some purples in here. When you add water to a regular pencil, it will run. More water fun. It's amazing how as soon as you add this water, it looks kind of iced. It blends out all the little marks that you might get from using a pencil. Do the same thing down here, and you see how our pencil just kind of fades out. If it's too wet, you just use a rag. And now I'm going to hit this hill, this background area, drag it down a little bit. And I did let this dry completely before I added more pencil to it. I didn't want to do all my coloring and then wait to the end and add water, because like my stick, adding water to that, it would not stay in that nice crisp stick shape. And I was worried about the ink of my pen too. Sometimes inks will also bleed through, and I didn't want that either. So I waited until everything was dry. And now I'm doing some dragging lines as if the buttons have melted down my snowman. Adding more layers of color. Let's put his carrot here on the ground. Fell off his face. His face sure did get a lot smaller. That's why his eyes are extra big, because if you think about how big his head would have been, but it's getting the most sun and it does melt faster. So the big eyes on a little head. I also added a tiny bit of brown to that carrot because I want it to be kind of rotted. It's been out there for weeks. And you don't have to do this, but I decided to cartoon it up a little bit and added some of these drips. More layers down here. My background is really faded, so I decided to add a little more color to that, just more green. And we'll put a couple little sprigs of grass coming out. That's promising. Getting ready for spring. We'll also add some mud. Home stretch here, we're putting a little bit of water to this too. And more water to the shadow. Now I'm going to show you how to create a wet puddle here. So you could leave it go the way we had it with just the shadow, But if you want to show a little melting with a puddle, and since I added the drips, I felt like I had to. So this is just purple. Make sure you have some real dark, definite lines, and add some blues in here as well. Leave a little bit of white in there. That would be your reflection. With water, you always have some kind of reflection, and you can add water to this too. So we have a shadow and now a puddle. Dun da da! Here he is, melting away. Now close up here, I did add a couple little dots of purple. We have crocuses here, and they're one of the first flowers that come out in the spring. And then comparatively, you can see here that I did black line everything, so you can make it look more like an illustration. So that's that effect.